as always, we'll start with the dollar. So USD has been a little bit mixed since we last spoke. Haven't really gone anywhere. My outlook is still very much the same with the dollar. I'm still looking for more strength. I do have a very bearish outlook on the USD longer term. I like the possibility for a pullback into this area around 104, 103. If the market will be kind enough to pull back into that level, I feel like that'd be a great place to look for some longer term short opportunities to take it back into the lows and potentially a lot further as well. Basically, what I'm looking at is the continuation of that bearish leg that we got, pretty much throughout the whole of 2025. The market's been bleeding. Now I'm looking for the pullback of that for a continuation. As simple as that, nothing too extraordinary. But at the moment, we do have some bullish structure at play, which of course is represented with these higher highs and higher lows. Low, high, low, high, low, and the high over there. So now I'm anticipating a potential new higher low for, again, another swing to the upside. I talked about the retest of this high here, I believe that was on Monday or Tuesday, about the retest of that level. Potentially price might use that as support to potentially push higher. And at the moment, it looks like that is the case. At least we haven't broken through the level. Price respected it very well on Wednesday. Hasn't really gone anywhere since, but it is still respecting that area. So the bias still remains the same. I'm looking for a drive back to the high here. So that's 102. And of course, if I'm going to get that push back into the levels, which I just went over, which look good for some shorting opportunities, then we could be seeing a pretty big swing. But the analysis is I'm expecting some more USD strength in the continuation of this bullish trend for perhaps some shorts later on. That's been the outlook for at least a couple of weeks now. Nothing's really changed. We saw a nice drive to the upside at the start of the week. We have since pulled back, filled the gap that was created at the start of the week. Perhaps now we can potentially push on and see a continuation. So that's my main idea there for the dollar. In terms of euro, of course, if I'm going to be expecting that for the dollar, then pretty much euro USD, I'm looking for the exact opposite pretty much. The market's been pretty consistent with these 4-hour lower lows and lower highs. So you've got the high over there, the low, next lower high, low, next lower high, low. So again, what I'm looking for is another lower high for, again, a new low. We just about came back and retested this support level here on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday. Nice test of that level. I said yesterday, if we're looking for some entries, ideally, it would be nice to see price rally back to resistance, potentially double top it. That would be a great place for some entries, perhaps on like the hourly chart. I believe we've got like a trend line confluence running through the market here. Perhaps you can go spike into that, get some nice stop losses just above that, and hopefully capitalize on a swing back into support and maybe further as well. So I like the idea for more downside for euro. Again, pretty much basing the idea of looking for some dollar strength as well. And there's some nice confluence above us. Now, will we see price make that move? I'm not too sure. Will we potentially fall from here? Possibly. I would say the market right now is just kind of consolidating, so difficult to say what the next move will be. But in terms of my directional bias, as long as price kind of stays below 1.12750, which is this area, I do expect to see a drop. If price does rally through that, then maybe we could be looking at price becoming a bit more bullish, and maybe we're bullish sooner than expected. But for now, as long as that confluence can remain intact, I do think we will eventually push back to lows and potentially further as well. Pound USD, same situation here as well. We've got some nice lower highs on the 4-hour chart. So originally we had the higher highs, so high, high, high. Then the market topped out around 1.34500. Nice push down, lower high from there, another push down. And again, looking at potentially another lower high. It's not confirmed yet. Market hasn't seen a new low, so technically it's not a lower high, but it could be. And if we are going to form a lower high, well, then I would expect that to be it and take us back down to the low. So again, as I said yesterday, if we're looking for some opportunities for pound USD, I feel like this is a nice area to look for a short. Basically, if you can get stop losses above the high there, I think you're in a very safe place. If the market was to rally and hit that stop loss, it's probably going to break out and continue back to highs anyway. So I think that'll be a smart place for a stop loss. And if you can get some shorts back into the low there, a great place to target. And you're looking at a decent risk reward as well. So pound USD, again, as long as you can respect this area of confluence, I do think there's a good chance we do have a bit of a drop. Again, don't get me wrong, long-term pound USD, I'm pretty bullish, but I can see that price having a very tough time trying to sustain resistance up here. Multiple wicks to the upside, not the sign of a healthy market, which is likely to continue. Of course, anything could happen, but as a trader, we've got to deal with probabilities. If price is producing numerous wicks into a key level resistance, the likelihood is that we're probably going to reject that area and pull away from it rather than continue to break through. And that's kind of what I would base my analysis from. So unless price was to rally through this area here, of course, then I'll rethink things. Perhaps we are going to get a breakout. But as long as we can stay below, that does make me pretty bearish there for pound USD. Dollar CAD, same situation kind of with pound USD and euro, which is I'm still looking for more dollar strength. Price did have a very nice breakout of this descending channel last week. Very, very nice breakout. And since then, we came back for a nice retest on some resistance there. So price had the breakout, had initially a retest there. We came back again for another retest. Didn't really set the market alight with that move. It was a nice reaction, but we only just about came back into resistance there before we did push back down. So perhaps price is going to have a bit more of a sell-off before potentially pushing on. Again, what I am looking for is that as an impulse. This is a correction for more upside. Longer term, I'm very bearish on the dollar CAD. So I still do see price coming back to these lows and taking them out. But in terms of shorting that, I do want to see more of a pullback. I'm looking at these major swing points for the market. High, low, high, low. I'm looking for the next one. I do have a couple of areas which do interest me. This area, which is only just above where current price is. But I do believe this area has a greater chance of sending us lower. So preferably, I would like to see a bigger move take us back into 1.416. Ideally, that would be nice. And try and find some sells from there. Again, just looking for another lower high in this sequence here. I believe it lines up pretty well with the fib 0.5 level. Yeah, it lines up pretty well with the 0.5 of the fib. So ideally, I would like to see that happen. But again, beggars can't be choosers. We'll see what the market gives us. In terms of an opportunity for dollar CAD, certainly from a long bias, I would wait for us to, of course, come back into areas of support, like the one we bounced earlier this week, if I'm going to find a long entry to take that higher. I don't really see much of an opportunity where we are right now. In terms of Aussie dollar, this one's been a bit all over the shop, to be honest. Yeah, not a fan of the price action one bit. I'm looking at the price action here. We've been stuck in this ascending channel. Price had a rally to the upside this week after having a big fake out to the downside. Then we kind of respected resistance. The top end of the channel came back down again. Respect the bottom there. I think Aussie and NZD were pretty strong last night. So we did see a bit of a reaction there. But again, I'm still looking at the market coming down for it to go higher again. I'm still very much longer term bullish on Aussie dollar. But I can see that we've had a big rally. Price is looking very fatigued right now. We're stuck in this ascending channel, which is never really a healthy sign for a trending market. If we're stuck in an ascending channel, sooner or later you're expecting price to have a bit of a breather and drop to the downside, which is what I'm looking for to then take the market higher. So 0.62500, 0.63 is kind of the area which I'm wanting to see price push down into. So I can take some longs back into resistance, then potentially further as well. Will we see that pullback? I have no idea, but that's kind of the area which lines up pretty well with confidence for me. So price can get there. I do believe that would be a nice place for a buy, and a buy for potentially a long time as well. So that's why I like the area a lot. In terms of current price and current opportunities, to be honest, I'm not really seeing much, to be honest. I wouldn't really be looking to buy this. I wouldn't really be looking to sell it. So to be honest, I would just probably avoid the price action here for Aussie dollar. It looks a complete mess and difficult to find some quality setup. So I would personally stay away. Same sort of situation with New Zealand dollar as well. Prices are incredibly flat. Again, my longer term outlook is still very much, big impulse, looking at this as a pullback. Now I'm looking for a lot more upside. I do think we can see a bit more downside for New Zealand dollar first. I'm looking to see if we can get another run back into the lows here, and then perhaps use that as potentially a buy opportunity, kind of like a weird channel there, if you will, minus that kind of fake out a week ago. But I'm looking at this as, again, as a massive rally. This is somewhat of a correction for price to continue higher. We're coming back to retest some really nice structure, which was past resistance, now turned support. I do think that's a nice area to position long as well, and possibly capitalize on a continuation there. So very, very bullish on New Zealand dollar. I like the setup there, but of course we need to come lower. Trading in the middle of nowhere right now, in my opinion. So again, I'll stay away from that price action. But if we can come lower, back into support, I feel like that's a great place to position long. And hopefully we do get a bounce to the upside. Over to gold. Gold had a nice reaction yesterday. I was talking about price coming back into this area here, which is, of course, previous resistance. Price broke through that as our price went high, actually. Price broke through that, never had the retest. This is the first time price has come back for the retest. Then price came also back into the low end of this descending channel. And we had a lovely test of that as well. Price reacted to that. Was a nice close. I did say if price can get back above this area here, that would be a nice entry. I was debating potentially entering gold longs, but on second thought, I was like, the risk reward is not looking too great in terms of a push back into the low end of, into the middle of the channel, especially even back to the high end. I'm only looking at 1.42. So I decided to refrain from entering gold and see if it can come back down and potentially give me a better entry. If the entry was a little bit more sharper and had a better risk reward, I would have had a stab there at gold. But the entry signal was a little bit too big for my liking, considering I'm being very cautious with gold longs. That middle line of the channel would be an area which I could look to possibly go break even or book profits. Definitely the up end of the channel there. The reason why I like gold longs is that I'll just be looking to trail stops and just see how far we can take it. Who knows, maybe gold has a massive rally. So I like it because potentially it could be a big, big move. But into my first targets there, where I would be a bit more cautious with the trade, the risk reward isn't ideal. So I did refrain. I'm hoping to see if gold can come back down into support, potentially double bottom, and that could be something that gives me a better entry and a better stop loss for the position. But the idea is still the same. As long as gold can hold this confluence, looking for a rally to the upside. Silver, yeah, not much with silver, to be honest, other than we're still consolidating. Price did respect support here pretty well, so nice reaction there. I did say this is a nice area for a buy, but I would be cautious as soon as price comes back into supply there, because we are pretty consistent with lower highs here, I've noticed, with silver. So I wonder, is price going to form another lower high to come back down again? Because essentially what we're doing is squeezing between the resistance of the trend line and the support level there. So eventually we are going to get price to break to the upside or to the downside from that. So in my book, it looks like silver's just consolidating, as I've spoken about a few times. Not really interested about the current price action, but if we could push a lot lower, back into 31, back into 29, well, those levels would interest me. And I'll see what we could do, potentially find some longs. Because long term, I still expect new highs past this point for silver. I'm still very bullish on this one, but just very, very difficult to find a clear-cut opportunity, especially with the way price is moving. So at the moment, just staying away, keeping a close eye. If we do come lower, that will interest me. But at the moment, I'm just seeing a bit of a range here. And yeah, we'll see which way price breaks out.